welcome to that one time we read manga podcast where we four friends decide to sit down and start reading manga together and come in here and talking about it. My name is Tim Walmsley, and my favorite manga is One Piece. I've been reading it for forever.
My name is Duncan Hinson. I've been reading manga or watching anime for about 20 years, if you include Pokemon when I was a kid.
I don't think anyone does, but okay. No,
that's impressive.
Yeah, that is impressive.
All right, and I'm Jonathan Sanders. I am an elderly individual in the group, possibly the oldest one. And nope. I have not been reading for 20 years because I've done other things with my life. However, I think the first manga I read was probably Dragon Ball. I was like 17 or so. I don't know.
You are not the oldest.
I am.
You are not.
I am.
My name's Nate Junkins, and I'm 30 years old.
Got you there, idiot.
I don't have a favorite manga at the moment, but lately I have been addicted to reading Black Clover. I love magic, so I love it.
Hell yeah, and we'll definitely get to that one eventually. But this week, Nate actually had us reading HunterXHunter, chapters 1 through 20. So, Nate, when did you first read HunterXHunter? Or HunterXHunter, I don't know how to say.
So, I'm kind of new to reading manga as a whole, so I haven't read this one. I'm kind of reading along, but I've watched the whole series. The series is coming back, I believe, this year. Don't quote me on that. But
people are recorded. You are recorded.
I'm being quoted, but don't quote me again.
Don't double quote me.
Don't double quote me. I watched it. I believe I watched it as it was finishing up, if I remember right. That was years ago.
Okay. So yeah. You're basically coming through and like you're gonna see a lot of like differences. Like you will know them as differences from the show to this, but we won't. We'll just be like, oh, that was a cool moment. And you're like, that didn't happen.
Maybe. I mean, I have watched it a couple times, but for some reason, when I'm reading this, I'm like, everything feels so new, and it's not at all. I've watched this anime multiple times.
Nate, is there a pretty good amount of episodes?
Ooh. That's a good question. So the anime actually just stopped because the manga went on hiatus for a while. It went on a 6-year hiatus, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just recently started back up. I believe it's ongoing now. Maybe I have to. Don't quote me on that.
We're not experts. We're just fans. All right. We just let me put that out there. We're secretly all just we're four ceiling fans. We're just fans. We're not experts in any of this.
Voice.
We're gonna blow our cover.
I haven't finished the manga, and I'm kind of excited to this is resparking my need to read it. So.
Well, here we are reading it.
Exactly.
Here we are reading it. Some of us better than others.
Well, in my defense, it's really good.
Okay, first, let's get to the first defense, which was both you and John, Duncan and John. Neither of you read it last week, which is when we were supposed to do this.
There's this thing called procrastination, and
or laziness.
I wouldn't call it that. I think
or like we lead very busy lives, and
I was being productive in other areas. You should have seen how clean my garage got. No.
Yeah, and then
we got these boys on trial.
I will accept that as a defense, but then John understood the assignment. Read to chapter 20. And I'm assuming he did, because he's here now.
Correct.
And I didn't have to roast him in the middle of the week. Unlike Duncan, who first didn't read any of it, then went ahead and read to chapter 42.
In my defense, it's really, really good.
Yes, of course it's really, really good. You don't think I wanted to just see what chapter 21 looked like?
You probably should have done that the first time, Duncan.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right, but eat shit.
My favorite segment is where we belittle Duncan.
It's gonna be a weekly thing.
We should put a little jingle every time, like right before we start shitting on Duncan.
I'm gonna put a trigger warning in for people with low self-esteem. Like,
You said that this is going to be a new weekly thing, as if it hasn't already been happening almost daily for the past 8 years.
and now we'll have audio evidence.
Add a cartoonish boing.
Or just like right before it starts happening, a little punch bag sound effect. Just Joe Rogan kicking a heavy bag.
Yes, I'm sure Audio Jungle has a sound bit that says exactly that.
Exactly that. Joe Rogan kicking bag.
Yeah, not just random guy hitting something. So as much fun as we have sitting here belittling Duncan about his inability to follow directions,
I do what I want.
we're actually here to talk about HunterXHunter's chapter 1 through 20. As someone who's never read it, I am in love with it already. It's a ton of fun. Gone or Gone?
Gone.
I always screw it up.
I think it's Gone.
Like an ice cream cone.
Ice cream.
My ice cream gone.
She's so much. He's such a fun protagonist, though. I mean, he's got like all these weird, interesting abilities that are explained in like really cool ways. He doesn't just have them; they're like explained. Like, yeah, like his ability to like just smell things.
I was gonna
like,
say,
yeah,
my name's Gone. I smell good.
I smell really good. He's like this weird. He's the perfect. Is HunterXHunter a shonen? Because he's the perfect shonen protag.
Yeah.
Just like
definitely.
has all these weird abilities. He's a weird feral boy who's smart, immature, creative, and constantly like learning new ways to use his abilities.
And as we're learning from the trials, and we'll get to it, he's pretty dumb.
Yeah, pretty fucking stupid.
Uh-huh.
Just like most shonen heroes.
I love it. I love Gone. Gone is amazing. What's everybody's first thoughts on reading the beginning of it?
I mean, it was really entertaining. Like, I think it really started going in a direction after like probably chapter 3, because chapters 1 and 2, like, they had some interesting context to them. But like, honestly, going on the train of Gon being a stupid dumbass that's really good at stuff, it starts happening every chapter, and it like just keeps the flow up. And then on the side, you have other cool people with cool abilities. I thought it was definitely it was a manga that or it is a manga that just kind of keeps on throwing shit at you and stays interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar to build off of what you said about it flowing really well. Is that it just constantly has something new, something interesting, and you get to the point where if you need to stop reading because you're on a podcast with your friends, it's really, really hard because you just want to keep reading about how the adventure continues.
Yeah, there is no real good stopping point. Like, even through the arcs, they weave into each other so well that you're just like, I have to know what literally happens next.
Yeah. And then at the end of that chapter, you're like, wait, no, literally, what happens immediately after this?
And the next thing you know, it's like 2 a.m. and you have school the next day. And
Yeah. Your wife leaves you because you just stop reading manga. I can't. It's for a podcast or I don't make any money.
So
Exactly.
So for a difference between the anime and manga, that little bit of him being saved as a child by one of his father's comrades, that was not in the anime until way later.
I see. They wanted to hide it until later because so admittedly, like when I first saw that, I was like, oh, his dad's a hunter. Like I can't remember if we knew that right away, but it was like, yeah, he said, I want to be a hunter like my dad, and then the guy saves him or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was within the first chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was at one point, I think, where he didn't know that his hunter was a dad, but I mean, it like all played itself out in like flashbacks and stuff, to where what's the hunter's name again? I can't remember. The first one that you encounter.
The one who saved him? Oh gosh.
You know what? I hate that it's like he's a super important figure, so I hate that I can't remember his name at the moment. There's so many
Hold
names
on.
in this manga.
I think it was
Yeah, hold on.
like Chine or something.
No. His dad's name was Ging, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I know exactly what he looks like, and I'm trying to remember his name. And somebody out there is just screaming like, "You dumb fuckers! Why don't you know what his name is? He's
That's
so
gonna happen a
important
lot.
to the story."
Spoiler
I'm like,
warning.
I'm like speed rolling through. I'm speed scrolling through the manga to try and find it real quick.
Yeah, I know. But that aside, I mean, yeah, he's pretty cool, and he definitely rings of a character that'll come back into play quite a bit later on. I feel like, and
It's
his
tight.
mission overall, his mission to like, what was it, to find Ging again?
Yes.
Yeah, like that's pretty cool. And I feel like Ging is, and I might be, for somebody out there who's listened to it, I feel like Ging is like one of those high level hunters that's probably like always around. That's kind of my theory. I think he's always around.
Kind of. It's I was actually going to. I have one of my questions prepared. That's a segue into it. That guy's name is Kite, by the way.
Kite. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Ah, yes, because I misconstrued it with another word. Okay, we're good.
So it was what does everyone think about Gon's dad? Like the relationship Gon has with his dad, or lack thereof.
So, I immediately wanted to say I hate his aunt, because she, like, it's like
The
I
manga
didn't
made
tell
her
him to-
awful.
Yeah, like the manga makes it seem like she's just this like, yeah, okay, you could kind of read into it, and be like, oh, she's doing it to protect him. Like, yeah, whatever, lady. You told the kid his parents were dead. Like, that's not a cool thing to do.
Yeah, probably a bad way to like start that off. Like, she probably could have gone a different route with that.
Yeah, and I'm sure in the anime they add a little bit more context, or at least make her seem sweet in the moment. But as I'm reading it, I'm like, this lady has no remorse for this little boy's dreams. Like, how old is Gon? Like,
I think he's
13?
like 12
He's
or
12.
13.
I believe he's 12. Yeah.
Yeah,
12. Yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, okay, he's 12, right? You don't want him to run off and try to be a hunter and get himself killed at 12. But at the same time, you told him his parents were dead. Like, that's not a cool thing to do.
I love.
It's not a cool thing to do.
I love the whole like. They're like, oh yeah, your parents are dead, and he's like, oh no, I found that out when you let me live in the wild with bears, and a man saved me and told me about my dad. I'm like, what? This is
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
insane.
By the way, I know you're lying because a guy showed up in the woods and told me you were lying.
And
So
I trust
about-
this stranger more than I do my own aunt.
Yeah, well, and he has every reason to. About Ging and Gon himself, like, I have no context for who Ging actually is. Like, I've seen screenshots online and stuff, but like, not story screenshots, just like pictures of him. I don't even know if they're accurate, but I'm like, huh, okay, so, to me, it's like typical shonen, and I hate to just like group this in with something because it doesn't mean it's bad, right? But shonen hero has mysteriously powerful father, and everyone's just kind of like, "Ooh, I can't wait till we meet the dad." And I can only assume it's going to be slightly underwhelming, just based on patterns in other mangas.
Well, I think it'll be pretty cool.
I think it'll be cool, and I think his intro is going to be like the most powerful we'll see him, and then you're supposed to see the son kind of overtake dad's power. That's my prediction. Calling it now.
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Yeah.
That is a very shonen prediction.
Yeah. Save
Well, yeah.
that snippet.
All right, and we'll flash that back in about, I don't know, 10 or 20 episodes.
Years.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Years when we come back to read chapters 21 through 40.
What about you, Duncan? What did you think about the relationship with his dad?
I mean, like the other guy said, pretty typical shonen archetype for not having a parents or father. Kind of reminds me a lot of Naruto, honestly. In a good way, though, because Naruto's fine, in my opinion. But so far I've been enjoying Hunter x Hunter a lot more, just based on the way that it, like the style that it's written, and it's just new. And I haven't been
Yeah.
exposed to it before.
Yeah. I haven't been exposed to it so much. Like there are snippets. Like we'll get to the magician guy, Hisoka. Is that his name?
I think
Hisoka?
I think Hisoka is how it's pronounced.
Okay. But yeah, there's like I've seen videos and stuff of like that going on in like the anime, but I couldn't honestly say like if I've ever seen Ging or not. I mean, I guess I'll know when we get to it eventually, but yeah, I think there was one panel at some point where I think the ship captain he made some dialogue about Ging. I hope you're watching, or like Ging, what do you think about this? And there was a character in the background that was shadowed out. I'm wondering if that had anything to do with it. Obviously, I don't need a spoiler, but that was a curiosity of mine.
I genuinely thought that was just like the captain remembering Ging's face, but the audience isn't ready for that yet, so they purposely like kind of shadowed it.
I don't know, maybe.
Because they always do that when an anime character remembers someone, that image of that person shows up like right behind him.
Yeah, maybe. To me, it looked like he was like around a corner. Maybe I read that wrong.
Oh well, maybe I'm forgetting exactly the panel.
No, that sounds about right. About him thinking back, and it was kind of like a memory, but we aren't ready for it yet, which really speaks to the creative illustration that is a pretty common theme with like background characters. Especially, they're always like they're actually doing something in the background, unless it's not important, and then they're just kind of like messing around, which I think is kind of fun.
And that's definitely something to hit. The illustration is extremely detailed in this manga.
Yeah, and Nate, you actually, I think, taught us this fact, so I'm going to say it and take your thunder. This is the same artist who did Yu Yu Hakusho, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. You taught us that fact. I wanted to be the one to say it.
So apparently critics said that he wasn't as detailed in his art style with Yu Yu Hakusho, so this is him just going, I can do it, see? Look at that. Look at that panel with all this wacky stuff. You have no idea what it is.
Not only can I draw good, it's an amazing story too, so eat it.
Did you see that fish? It looks like it has crab legs. You got one of those?
Yeah, bitch. Guess what?
I've mostly been reading this on my phone, and the detail is so good, and all the panels are kind of small, honestly. It's not the best way to read it, honestly. I kind of wish I had a tablet.
I found myself zooming a couple times because I was like, wow, look at this.
I would
Almost every
love to have
time,
it.
yeah.
I would love to have a tablet with this app on it, but I'm not willing to spring for that kind of scratch. Yet. Yeah, not yet. So yeah, I need not to. I don't know if you have any more questions right away, but I just wanted to kind of go into the side characters, like Gon's companions. We talked a lot about Gon just now, but the first two people he really like comes into contact with after leaving his village remind me of the first guy's name, Leorio.
Leorio, yes.
Leorio and Kurapika.
You got it.
Sweet. Are really interesting in their own right. They don't come right out with their motivations. They, at least save them for a couple chapters in. But I really like Leorio's motivation of he just wants to be rich as a hunter. And at first you're like, what a dick. He's so unnoble. They'll ditch him after a while. And then the more time you spend with him, he's like, no, I just want to be rich because expensive operation would have saved my best friend's life. And I'm like, god damn it, now I love him.
Yeah.
Now I love this guy.
I really do like how this nailed in their personalities with finding out what pisses them off.
Yeah.
I think that's a really fun way to find out like what this person's motivations are, by just like, well, don't talk about this guy's clan and don't make fun of this guy's class.
Yes, yeah, don't make fun of his class, don't make fun of anything, and especially anything medical in front of Leorio. He is medical school dropout, so he knows more than you.
Yeah, that's a funny twist to add in there. You know, he wanted to be a doctor, which, I mean, going back to that, he's only 19, even though he looks like 35.
Right?
He's only 19, so he really didn't try that hard in medical school, I assume.
It's so funny
not.
that he's 19. It cracks me the hell up.
So it seems to be a trend in some of these manga we're reading. Like, we're also reading One Piece at the same time, and one of the characters, Zoro, in that one is only 19, but he looks like he's in his late 30s.
Yeah, what's up with that?
No, man, it's just, well, I think it's to show, well, it doesn't make much sense in One Piece, but in here, I think it's to show the relation, or the difference in age between Gon and everybody else. Like, he's 12, so a 19-year-old would look much older to him.
Yeah.
You gotta think that Gon is the main character, so they want to kind of
Use his
describe
perspective.
everybody else from his perspective kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Kurapika is a kind of a badass right out of the gate. You're kind of like, okay, this is going to be like maybe Gon's rival. At first, that was my first thought. Was like, oh, okay, so this is the rival character. Leorio is just going to be like the mediator character. And
The comic relief.
yeah, the comic relief. Well, the two rivals duke it out and stuff. But later that gets debunked, so I know I'm wrong already. But Kurapika, going back to, not to disparage it, but going back to the Naruto comparisons, Kurapika is the last member of a dead clan with special eyes. Hey, Sasuke, welcome to HunterXHunter, I guess.
He does seem a lot less moody.
He's a lot less moody. He's a much friendlier person than Sasuke until you piss him off. And that's fine. Again, I'm not trying to take away from these characters by any means. But it was the first connection my brain went to.
Oh, it's fine. HunterXHunter came out first.
Oh.
Did it?
Did it?
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, well then.
So the Chunin exams are a rip-off of this.
Yeah.
How the turntables have.
Yeah.
How the turns have tabled.
Um,
Okay. Well, then I take back that. Instead of that, I look at Sasuke and go, hey, Kurapika, welcome to Naruto.
yeah, it didn't. It doesn't show that well in the manga, but the Kurapika's eyes glowing red whenever he gets really emotional is really cool in the anime.
I could definitely feel the intensity through the panels, though. Like, when it does happen that one time, obviously they're in black and white, but I could still see it like, oh, this is a big deal. This dude's intense now. Like, this dude's upset.
Yeah. The art here with emotion is really good.
Yeah, the artist here does a really good job of displaying emotion. And the three friends, they go off, they do the trial together. And I just want to say, I love the trial, the Hunter trial.
Yes.
I didn't trust, like, I was pretty trusting of like, oh, they get on a boat and they're on their way. And then, oh no, it's a storm. I'm like, oh, let me guess, they're going to get sidetracked on their way to the trial. And it's going to be a whole thing. No, that is the storm is the trial. And it's like, what? And from that moment on, I didn't trust a single thing I was reading.
I have rewatched the trial so many times because, as my girlfriend has said, Allison, so she was like, "Why is this so entertaining to watch people run? They're just running."
They're just running.
Yeah.
They're just running. But there's that nugget of doubt in the back of your mind of like, there's a trick to this.
Exactly.
There's a trick.
Like, where are
There's
the
a trick
traps?
to it. Yeah, where are the traps? What are the tricks? What's this weirdo running gonna do?
It's just literally running up until the point where they reach that jungle. But I know I'm skipping pretty far ahead.
Well, and there's some interactions. I just wanted to say, like, just like that boat again. I thought I knew where it was going. Of like, oh, they're gonna get marooned on an island and they're gonna have to figure out their way to the trial, but they'll get a weird special exception to be allowed in late or something. I thought it was gonna be something like that. But then once it came forward that no, the storm and the ship was part of the trial, I was like, oh my god, that is way more clever than I could have ever imagined.
I like how the initial qualifier was just, are you going to get seasick? Nope. All right, you can keep moving forward. Granted, they were on very rough seas.
Yeah, are you scared of drowning? Yes, get out.
Yeah, the trial has been a lot of fun, and I don't have to cover it all right here, but like I was worried about getting bored with the trial because like after you kind of figure out the flavor of it, like all right, there's gonna be a bunch of trials, there's gonna be another trick to it, and it's just gonna be like all right, what's the silly spin on this one, and you really just cannot figure out what that silly spin is gonna be. Like, going towards the later chapters that we read, like, the whole food thing. Like, make me food that I'll like. And the realization that...
oh, that pissed me off.
The realization
it should.
this is a manga that nobody knows what sushi was, that was kind of hilarious for me.
Except for the one shinobi dude from Japan.
Yeah, because like...
In their fictional universe, they just happen to have
Yeah,
Japan.
in most manga and anime world, like, just insert location in the world and they are just suddenly Japanese and they eat all, like, Japanese food. Like, it could be, like, Dragon Ball and they're in the middle of East City and, like, oh, wow, they eat nigiri and takoyaki and stuff. Like,
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure East City is supposed to be Kyoto.
yeah, I don't exactly know, and I guess that would kind of make sense. But that was actually just fun for me. Like, I was laughing actually a little bit out loud on that one, just because nobody could figure out what sushi was, and then just how ass-bleeding detailed it was when it got down to it. Like, you can't squish it too much. You have to press it in with your thumb. You can't allow too much air to get out of it. It needs to be thinly sliced fish. And I was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, it's like, how do you cook sushi via Hunter x Hunter? No, I liked some of that part, especially when they're all trying to just figure out what sushi is. They're just throwing rice on whole fish, and then
That was so funny. I love that panel with the rice ball, the fish.
It's like the fish is still twitching and stuff. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took a screenshot of that and sent.
Yeah, you should have made it make it an emote, and I don't care what you call it. But the part of the trial that pissed me off was when the shinobi dude let slip that that's what sushi was, and how to do it, because he was thinking out loud.
Yeah.
Which I think was kind of a making fun of other like animes when the main character will be having like an outer monologue, like talking to himself, but no one like hears him. So this guy from Japan was doing that trope, and everybody heard him. But then like the tester, I don't know her name, but she just
Menchie.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, she just gets like pissed off and completely shuts down and doesn't pass anybody. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, that's so bullshit. I didn't think that was truly going to be the end of it, but in the moment I was just like, are you immature little brat?
Yeah, that was funny. And I was like, with how this manga was going so far, I was like, well, shit, that might actually be the end of it. Let's see where the show goes next. Like,
yeah, well, and yeah, that's the other thing. For a split second, I'm like, oh my god, they're really just going to disqualify everyone, and then some MacGuffin is going to get going through.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it wasn't the case.
The amount of twists and turns this has, I will say, it led me to actually believe they were done. Because they've been so strict about this entire Hunter exam that whenever they were like, you all failed. I was like, they all failed. What are they going to do?
That's it. Yeah, what are they going to do from here? Yeah, that is, for a split second, that's where I was at. They did fool me, though. They truly fooled me. We did skip over one big introduction, actually, during the sprint. I just looked at my notes and realized we missed it. Gon meets Killua.
That's right.
Killua?
Killua. Yeah, he drinks
Killua, baby.
He drinks Killua? No, Killua. These two, Gon and Killua together are... first off, I have no idea how to read Killua. I have no idea how to read this guy.
Good.
I'm just like...
You never do.
He's so cool. Like, he's my first... And I hate to just keep comparing it to other things, but since I've never had any interaction with Hunter x Hunter, my brain just starts making connections. Mm-hmm. Goku Vegeta vibes. Gon, obviously, the Goku. Killua Vegeta, and just that rivalry where it's not outright obviously a rivalry right away, but you can tell later that Killua's very much like, all right, I need to prove that I'm like no joke to this kid, because he thinks we're pals and we're having fun, and yeah, maybe Killua actually thinks they are friends, but he understands that Gon is very innocent and doesn't see Killua for who he actually is.
Oh yeah, not by a long shot. And like he progressively, like as you get to learn and know Killua, like he's a fucking savage.
He is.
He's got problems. Yeah. He's got some serious daddy issues or something.
He's got a lot of problems.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of issues. Yeah, No, he was not a clan member. He was just an assassin, raised to be an assassin.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, family of
Yeah, and was almost killed by his people, so he killed them. Like his parents.
I mean, he said he wants to kill his parents.
It gets kind of painted on a little later, but it's definitely the relationship he has with his family, since they're all assassins. Almost dying is like a daily thing for them.
It's like not a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't understand if assassination was my profession. I think I would be able to control the urge to just randomly assassinate my family. But like if there's a contract out on them, that's one thing. But just the random urge to wake up and assassinate people, it's kind of out of the box, I think.
Well, that's one thing he did mention. He said that he wanted to, if the opportunity presents itself, like he wants to get a contract and collect the bounty on his parents, and then he'll be set for life. And I was like, oh wow, this guy's really dark.
Oh yeah,
he's got some serious problems, but I like him a lot. Like, I mean, I typically like the character that's like has a high level of intellect and is just a savage. Like that's what I really enjoy. And there's another character that seems to have a high level of intellect, and he's a savage. Hisoka?
Yes. He's
yeah.
Hisoka, yeah.
That's
he's a guy.
Aside from Gon, like he's the only character that I had any previous knowledge of, and I'm sure he's gonna be fun as we go through this.
He is all over the promotional material for this show.
Oh yeah,
like. Hisoka, like when people think Hunter x Hunter, they think Gon, like green shorts, spiky hair, and then they think anime Joker.
Yeah, yeah.
I've heard that I've heard him be described as just anime Joker, and I'm like, okay, so does he like terrorize people? And reading this, I'm like, yeah, he kind of terrorizes people.
I don't think there's much terror to go into it, and he's just a fucking murderer.
Yeah, he just straight up kills people, but then he acts like he's an examiner. He's like, I'm part of the exam. I'm like, I don't think you are.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been trying to diagnose. I'm like, is he? Or
I think he thinks he's part of the exam of like, if you can't beat me, then you shouldn't even be a hunter. And it's like, yeah, but you're not a hunter, so
yeah,
what the fuck?
But he's been progressing along the exam as if he's an examinee.
Yeah, I mean, so the examiners did mention, like, and I think it's pretty clear that he's not an examiner. Like, I think he is just a really bad dude. But, like, they did mention in there towards the end, like, that he is on the level, capability-wise, of, like, a normal hunter. Like,
oh, yeah.
He's up there with them, and you can clearly see that. Like, the hunters can defend themselves, but, like, when he threw the cards at the... what was it? The first examiner, Mr. Takoao or something?
The mustache guy, yeah.
Yeah, Mustache Man. We'll just call him Mustache Man. Yeah.
Setos.
But when he threw the cards at him, like, he was able to defend him, but, like, that was concerning right there. Like, and he is only here again because he attacked, an examiner we'll see later on. But, yeah, he attacked an examiner before, and, man... Like, when we get to that, he fucked him up.
He fucked him up. What, so, I did want to say about him throwing the cards at that guy. I had to reread that stretch of panels a couple of times immediately after the walk and when they get to the jungle of deception or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because it was like, oh, this guy's not who he says he is. He's a monster. And then some other guy who's already beat up shows up and he's like, yeah, he beat me up and blah, 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 blah. And then he just kills him. And then the actual Mr. Toast or Mr. Mustache comes out of the woodwork and is like, good job. I'm like, wait a minute. So there were two fakes, right? Like, it took me like two rereads to be like, okay, so those guys were both beasts that were making shit up.
I'm glad it wasn't just me because I had to do the exact.
Yeah. Yeah, I was big fake out.
Even animated, it was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the double cross.
Yeah, it definitely, because that whole, what did they call it? It wasn't Trick Jungle. I can't, because it's Trick Tower. I can't remember what the jungle is called, but yeah, it's all just deception. Like,
Yeah.
for example, they show it for just one quick panel, but there is, you see a bunch of people that are impaled on spikes at one part of that, and there is a bird up top that just says "follow close," and it's actually supposed to be mimicking Satotsu's voice. So all of these people were like following the voice, and then they just fell in a spike pit because that bird tricked them.
And then the
Oh
birds would
my
eat
god.
'em.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
don't think I
way
saw
more
that.
sense now. Yeah, because I was saying, so I saw the bird that was like follow close, and I'm like, okay, so it might just be like I for whatever reason I'm like, well, clearly it had to be a friendly enough voice for them to want to follow it, but it didn't even piece together that it was the instructor's voice or the hunter's voice. Like, obviously it would be, because they were like, follow him closely.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Obviously, there's no real way to convey that through written word, unless he put a little asterisk next to it that said in his voice. But
yeah.
Like we've said it can't overstate enough how much fun the exam is to just watch, and then that showdown with Hisoka in the fog. I mean,
yes,
that was nuts.
Very
that was
intense.
Nuts.
I was even, I remember like watching the first time. I was like, is he gonna let Leorio live? This is nuts.
Yeah, I thought Leorio was done for, because I was like, this was still in the time where I'm like, okay, he's literally just in this for the money, and if they were gonna throw a character off, let us get attached to one and then kill him, Leorio seems like the best target of that, because it's like, yeah, you like him, but he's not that noble, so we could kind of ice him early, and people would be like, oh my god, anything can happen in this show.
Yeah.
It's like, spoilers for Game of Thrones, but it's like killing Ned Stark at the end of season 1. You're just kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, that was supposed to be a big deal. That guy was supposed to. Oh no.
He definitely
that's where
has
I thought we were going.
Yeah, he definitely has a first to die vibe, but I guess we'll find out.
I would say not anymore. I don't think he does anymore. But at this point in the chapters of reading we did, I was absolutely like, yeah, Leorio would be the first to go right now. Again, we kind of got attached to him. We like him, but he's still not a noble guy. He hasn't come out and said about the operation, I don't think, yet.
No.
I don't think that happens until they're in Trick Tower. So,
Yeah,
it's Trick Tower.
Yeah, so like at this point you're still kind of like, I don't know about this guy. So yeah, if they were gonna ice anybody, it would have been him at that moment. But Gon steps up and fucks up. Doesn't fuck up Hisoka, but puts up a bit of a fight.
Yeah, I mean, he got one hit on him, and then Hisoka was like, well, congratulations, you passed my test. I'll let you
and
live.
I immediately was like, you fucking douchebag.
Yeah, he's a little bit tough to handle. Like, he's tough to digest, because he's already at the point where you're like, yeah, this guy could die anytime. That would be convenient, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Right, he won't.
Well, that's what makes him a good character, is because you don't like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure people had a lot of the same, feelings towards a lot of other anime. Like Vegeta probably had a lot of haters very early on when he was the bad guy, and then he slowly becomes a good guy over time, and people like him. I don't know that that's going to happen to Hisoka. He might just be a douchebag throughout, like a constant douchebag nuisance through the rest of it. But
there it
from
is.
Nate laughing, it might be true.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hold that one back.
I kind of get the vibe of what's the snake guy from Naruto? Orochimaru? Is that it?
Yeah, Orochimaru.
Oh
like
my
Orochimaru
God.
vibes.
You know
That's
what I mean?
very accurate. Yes, everyone. I hated Orochimaru, and I still do.
Yeah.
Oh,
Similar
my
vibes.
goodness. Yeah, you're right with that. He's gonna be a weird snake girl guy.
I think I like Hisoka a little bit more, just the way that he's written.
All right,
But-
Here is one
We'll
of my
see.
favorite villains. He's just got one flaw that hasn't been covered yet that I'm like, I can't have you as a favorite villain. You're not good.
yeah, I think so. Here's the comparison that I will make here, and I think this sums up his character. Jojo Orochimaru.
Yeah.
That's what I think
Gross.
he is. Yeah.
Gross.
Honestly, that's a very good comparison.
I
mean,
think
like,
he's the baby
mean,
of
like-
those two.
You mean Dio Orochimaru?
No, I mean like just JoJo style.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
yeah.
JoJo style. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant like Jonathan Joestar. I'm like, he is nothing like Jonathan.
Jonathan's a fucking man.
Jonathan's a gentleman.
He's definitely
How dare
got
you.
that JoJo style that's like, I'm going to do this thing so you learn. Hoo hoo. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And
I
that makes him the
anticipated
most-
you anticipating me anticipating you.
exactly.
Yeah. And that's the most infuriating thing. This is what I hate about villains in any media. Doesn't have to be anime or manga or anything. It could be any media. It's the hero learns a lesson to beat the bad guy, and then the bad guy just all smugly, it's like, see, I made you learn a lesson. I'm the good guy here. Like, no, you're fucking not. You're a douchebag.
You just killed
You're not-
100 people.
You're just smug. You didn't do anybody any favors. I hate that. It's the worst trope, and Hisoka is that to a T. I'm like, god damn it.
Here's what's interesting about Hisoka is that, like, as of right now, is he really a villain, or is he just like he's just an asshole?
I mean, he's killed a lot of other examinees.
yeah.
I think he's definitely villain. Like he might have some like of those good characteristics or those good qualities that you're like, oh, he has a reason. But no, I think I think he's just gonna end up being like a grade A piece of shit.
And
Yeah.
in my history with shonen manga in particular, asshole means villain. At least right now, like
Okay.
they could become good guys, but asshole equals bad guy. If characters are downright like despicable, then they're villains. Like Leorio's kind of an asshole, but he's more of just like a minor inconvenience. He's not.
yeah, but he didn't murder anybody.
Yeah, exactly. He just talks about how he loves money more than anything in the world. It's like, okay, he yells at an old lady in a village and almost makes him lose the trial right then and there before they even get to this place. Which I love that village, by the way. That was a good little moment. You can only answer once, but not answering is an answer. And I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was clever.
I hate to
every
backtrack
step.
it, but yeah.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, every step has been wonderful so far. And we talked about the sushi thing. I really liked how the chairman was alerted of like, and he's like, "Oh no, we can't have that." And I'll be the worst chairman in history if we get 0 hunters.
Well, yeah, because then after the cooking thing, they all get on the airship, right? Am I remembering
Yes.
that correctly? And then they actually
Yes.
encounter, what was his name? I can't
Netero.
remember. Netero.
Yeah, Netero.
They actually encounter him, and was that when they did the ball thing with Killua and
That was a good
Yes.
segment to the next thing, but I actually want to wait on him.
Yeah. But what I was just going to say was just like, I love the chairman's motivations of just like, I would be a bad chairman if we had 0 hunters this year. Like, so I have to go and rectify this. And I love him grilling. What was her name again? Menchi?
Menchi.
Yeah. Grilling Menchi like that. I'm like, yeah, fucking get her, man. It's like watching the principal finally like say something to the bully and like do something about it. You're just like, yes.
Yeah, it kind of was like that,
Fucking-
honestly.
Fucking get her. And then, you know, like he was nice about it. Obviously, he wasn't like yelling at her, but I'm just sitting there like, haha, you suck. You don't get your way. Fuck you. And I'm sure she's a great character. Again, when I don't have the voices or the tone from watching a show, I just insert the tone myself. And in my mind, she was a very like bitchy, short individual. Like just mean for no reason other than she just didn't get her way, like bratty. And
I mean, yeah, you pretty much
so
hit
when
the nail on the head.
oh, okay, cool, yeah. So when she's getting not grilled, because I don't think the headmaster would yell at her, but
No, because he has. If you want to talk about voices,
Pond 5.
Oh, where did my headphones go? Oh, I don't know what just happened.
uh-oh.
Can you hear me now? Are we all good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, so when you want to talk about like Netero, he's kind of got, oh, I'm an old man that knows things. Like
I see.
he's pretty much got like that kind of goofy, wizened tone.
So he's like a Dumbledore Gandalf mixture.
Yes, that right there.
Yes. The goofy old guy who knows a lot of things but won't tell you right away because it doesn't matter right now.
Yeah, yeah.
That is fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from him too. And him giving the stern talking to Menchie was definitely well reserved.
Yeah, big time. We did actually skip over one other major introduction from the sprinting stage, and that is Tonpa.
I was going to cover
talked about Tonpa once yet.
I was going to talk about Tonpa because...
Yeah. What an absolute... Again, in Shonen, asshole means villain, but in this sense, I think asshole just means asshole. Like, he's probably got redeeming qualities that we're going to find out soon-ish. But the rookie killer or whatever they call him is like, he doesn't even hurt anybody. All he does is
crusher.
Yeah, the rookie crusher, and all he does is give them laxative soda. Then they can't run 10 miles. At first, yeah. At first I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna meet a new friend. And then he's like, do you guys want a soda? And I'm like, don't take that soda. Don't. Like, as soon as it happened, I was like, if you meet a new character and they instantly offer you something, you're like, don't do it. Don't fucking... And they don't, because Gon can smell the poison or whatever in it.
Yeah, it's like completely scentless, yet he's like, oh, this tastes funny. And just another display of how inhumanly amazing Gon is.
Yes, but then here comes Killua, who drinks 3 of them.
That was pretty funny.
That was insane. I'm like, okay, so this guy's going to be something.
Yeah, he did it on purpose so that way no one else had to deal with it.
Man, good for him. Good for him. But again, I'm like, if it's as powerful as Tonpa is saying, then Killua is a monster who can control his innards.
He is a monster.
It said that he had been building up resistance to like all poisons his entire life, I think was the explanation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was it's still nuts.
So
yeah,
I have go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I have a big question I was gonna lead to is what was everyone's reaction when Tonpa fell into the exam in Trick Tower?
Oh, I was not happy. Especially because, okay, so this is at Trick Tower. We knew that it was called the Rule of Majority test or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it was the 4 of them, and I'm like, okay, so this might be a little interesting because there's only 4 of them. They could tie, and it says, oh, we have to wait for a 5th. I'm like, oh fuck, it's gonna be Hisoka, isn't it? Like, I thought it was gonna be Hisoka.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tonpa fell, and I'm like, I think this is worse. I think this is worse.
I think this is worse.
I think this is worse, yeah, and I was quickly proven right.
Yeah, I mean, like, right off the bat, he votes against the majority rule.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, my finger slipped, and then Leorio rips into him, which
man.
I think was deserved.
I mean, very well deserved. Unfortunately, Leorio played right into Tompa's hands, because Tonpa did it on purpose to sow that dissent, so that way when they don't agree with Leorio, he's going to start agreeing with the majority just to isolate Leorio, for no other reason other than to just fuck with them, right? Because the majority's always going to win out. And as long as Kurapika, excuse me, I'm mixing up Killua and Kurapika, but I'm sure as long as Killua and Kurapika are like neutral good, quote unquote, characters for the moment, like Kurapika is a good character. Killua is still like neutral. As long as they stay that path, I think their majority will win out because those two could convince Gon to vote whatever they want. It's when they give Gon the agency to vote however he wants that shit might get weird.
It does.
yeah, and we see it right away because they're like, Gon, choose whatever you want. He's like, all right, I'll take the long candle because obviously.
And everyone's like, we just spent time talking about how that's bad.
Yeah, and lo and behold, and I'm like, oh man, but Gon knows something they don't, doesn't he? He knows something they don't, and then nope.
I thought that
It's
he
just
could
wrong.
smell the difference. I don't know why, but I was like, can he smell which candle is good or bad?
Yeah, he can smell like the gunpowder on it or something. You know, the fire, like how. So if for whoever doesn't know what we're talking about, it's the first real encounter in Trick Tower. The five on the rule of majority come against the five, who we later find out are convicts, and the longer they stall them for 72 hours, the less their life sentences are. Their years taken off sentences or
A
whatever. and all
year
those
for
guys
each
are
hour.
Yeah, a year an hour, and I think they're all over 100 years on their sentences.
That's
So
Yeah, they were like serious convicts.
yeah, like 72 hours would be a major, major, major knockoff. So, and then the first guy just doesn't. I forget how that even goes. It was
Oh, I
against-
remember.
Oh yeah, no, it was Tampa. Tampa's like, yeah, I'll start, and then the guy's like, all right, cool, fight to the death. And as soon as like he's like, all right, ready, go, and Tampa's like, I give up, and walks away. And I'm like, you motherfucker.
It's also really funny when it's animated because he like psychs it. He psychs everything up. He's like, yeah, give me everything you got. This is a fight to the death. And as soon as they say go, he grovels so fast. He just slams onto the ground, yells "I give up" as loud as he can.
The anime, like one frame of movement, like first he's standing straight up, and then in the immediate next frame he's on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
That's kind of how I imagined it in my head.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's when I found out. I was like, yep, this is objectively worse because Tampa is a coward.
It's bad, but it's also at least they got Tonpa out of the way.
Yes, yeah, I would hate for it to be like 2-2, and then it comes down to Tampa.
I would have been so upset. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that would have been nuts. But so the test we were talking about was Gon's test, where the guy is like, okay, we're just gonna play like whoever can hold the candle the longest, or whoever's candle burns longer wins. And he's like, you want long or short? And Gon, and they're all talking about. They're like, well, yeah, obviously we're gonna take the short one because he wants us to take the long one. But then I think it's Kurapika or Killua that's like, yeah, but he's expecting us to think that way, so he actually wants us to take, the short one because he thinks that we're thinking he wants us to take the long. And it took like 10 minutes for me to wrap my brain around it. I'm like, wait a minute, so he wants you to take. So, okay. At the end of like that whole string of logic, it's take the short one.
At the end of that, you feel like Gon.
Yeah, and Gon's just like, I'll just take the long one. Why wouldn't I? It's like, God damn it.
And then he just blows the other guy's candle out anyway, so it wasn't like it really mattered which one.
Oh, I loved that so much that he's just like, oh, hey, mine's burning pretty bright. Leaps over to him and blows it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, once he knows that the wind isn't gonna just accidentally blow it out, he's like, "Oh, I'm good." And you would be fooled into thinking that, oh, he was thinking that the whole time. As soon as his candles started freaking out and burning super hot and fast, you would think like Gon immediately thought of like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to, I'll be okay." No, it took him a couple of minutes to be like, okay, all right, yeah, I can do this. He doesn't look that unsure in the manga, but I'm just trying to pretend I'm in his head, and it was a very on the fly.
It definitely is, because there's no way he thought about that.
No, there's no way.
Well, then that theme continued with the whole like the psychology of these contests when they played rock paper scissors directly afterwards.
Yes, which we did not see the conclusion of ultimately. But I love that Leorio is part of this. I love the test of. First of all, I love the first wager he makes. It's not the first wager he makes. It's the first one after the dude is proven to not be dead. I think of like, am I a man or a woman? And he's like, I bet you're. And he's like, how am I gonna have confirmation? She's like, I'll show you. And he's like, all right, I bet you're a woman. Or I bet you're a man. I bet you're a man. It's like,
that was one of my single favorite parts. Like that was funny. And I was like, we're going to see nudity. No.
Shonen.
No, but like, what's his name? Like he was just going at it. He was like, yeah, I'll see some lady bits. This is going to be a win-win for me.
It was totally worth it. He knew how many points he had, and he knew how many points he could afford to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. But I love Leorio in this position because he is as much of a non-noble person he's been built up for, he is comes out as very noble because the money to pay for the operations, right? And then B, he's actually like a really calculated person. He's not emotional. He seems emotional, like quick to anger, but he's very calculated. He sits there and actually deliberates over like, okay, what can I do here? The whole explanation, even going into the rock paper scissors, that I think Kurapika is giving the examination of ultimately, but it's like Leorio's thinking the same thing, which is like, oh yeah, one in 5 people always choose paper first, so in a game of 3 you have a 30% chance of winning, or like right off the bat, or something. It's like it was 66% chance of winning right off the bat.
It was a 66% chance of either winning or tying, but only a 33% chance of losing.
Yes, yeah. So you'd always pick something other than paper first, or whatever the psychology behind it was. It was very fun to read, and again, another couple of panels that I had to sit there and read a couple of times because I was like, between that and the candles, I was like, wait a minute, hold on, what logic are they using here?
We did actually skip over one pretty important character building moment, and that is when Kurapika fought that one guy.
Oh, the plastic surgery screw up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. That's when I knew Kurapika was like not to be trifled with in any regard.
Was he the one that had the spider tattoo on his back?
The Phantom Troop. Yes.
And
the Phantom Troop.
Yeah, and he got real upset about that because the guy was a fake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that and the Phantom Troop is what killed Kurapika's clan. So,
but that's exactly
even if he was real Phantom Troop, he would have been pissed. But the fact that he's pretending to be Phantom Troop is even worse. and I love how he calls out the fakes too. He's like, oh, the Phantom Troop have numbers, and he said something else of like they don't show those tattoos to anybody.
Yeah, they don't really make it known. They don't have to because, I mean, they're the Phantom Troop, as you'll later find. But there's
or won't find because they're phantoms.
Yeah, you never see.
That's probably the point.
They never talk about them ever again.
They never show up, and that's it.
And yeah, they usually have a number in the middle of the spider, and I love the design of the Phantom Troop, like tattoo, because it's just a 12-legged spider because there's 12 members. It's so friggin' cool.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, didn't know that because it didn't cover it in the first 20 chapters. But
that's okay.
No, that's fun.
It might be one
that
of those
does make sense.
That's never explicitly said, but is like implied.
Well, I think you just put the pieces together and then you kind of get that idea. But actually, for some reason, I had it in my mind that the Phantom Troop was 3 people, which I don't know why I thought that. Maybe because I got troop mixed with trio or something. I don't know. But I thought it was about to get really serious, like when he saw the tattoo. But then, yeah, after that, I imagine if he would have been one of the Phantom Troop, like that would have been a battle to the death easily, which it almost was.
I mean, it was until it wasn't.
Yeah,
I definitely thought he killed the guy when he punched him.
Oh,
yeah,
I thought he murdered him.
His head was literally flat against the stone, and I'm like, that dude's dead.
I thought he was
dead.
too, yeah.
He dead. And then it turns out, obviously, he wasn't, but we don't know that for a significant amount of time because he's just laying there, and you find out that they planned it of like, oh yeah, just lay there unconscious, or pretend you're dead, but even if they find out you're still alive, pretend to be unconscious. And I love how Leorio just opens his eye and instantly is like, this dude's faking it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's because he saw the eye movement under his eyelids, which is
like
kind of hard to describe on paper, but they did a good job of explaining it through the text.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's almost like he opened his eye and his eye kind of like moved over to see who was like looking at him. But if you were truly unconscious, you open up that eyelid and the eye is just lulled, kind of sitting there. It was nuts. And I love that Leorio was the one who got to figure that out, and then picks him up and tries to throw him off the cliff, and he catches himself to prove that he is awake and was faking the whole time, just to waste time.
Yeah, that was pretty clever. I liked that bit a lot.
Yeah, it was really good. I'm glad Leorio got to have that moment, because again, it brought him up from like comic relief / kind of a dick to Heart of Gold, like dude with a heart of gold. No matter what he says, we know deep down he's a teddy bear.
Did we see? I can't remember. Did we see Killua's part yet?
Um,
I
no.
don't think so. I think it's after the rock paper scissors.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't
Yeah,
show.
because Killua is going to be the last one.
Okay.
To go.
I wanted to make
if
sure
he
because
goes
they're
up-
really close together. I did.
Right. I will say, so we did skip over all the airship interactions, unless anyone has anything else to say about Trick Tower.
No.
I think that's most of it.
Yeah, that's most
Okay.
of Trick Tower. Where we stopped was right in the middle of them playing rock paper scissors.
Okay. I do want to actually mention one thing, John. You actually did allude to it earlier. I just remembered. Hisoka comes across his test inside Tricky Tower, and it's the screwed up, messed up examiner from the previous year, I think.
Yeah.
It's a guy he fucked up, and that dude is fucked up.
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the extent of his injuries totally. I know his eyes were really there were major scars going down his eyes, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, he had a lot of scarring going on. Yeah, and he was like, "Remember giving me these scars?" And he was like, "Well, today's my day." And then, you know how that ended.
Probably not great.
Probably not great.
Probably not great for a lot of people. Okay, yeah. So that was the last thing. So yeah, and then it ends. Chapter 20 ends in the middle of them throwing their second round of rock paper scissors after tying. In the first round. But we did skip over airship interactions because this was a pretty important part, I think.
You mean the interaction with Netero and Killua and Gon?
Yes.
Because that is one of my favorite interactions in the entire anime.
It was just such a cool moment because immediately I'm like, okay, Gon is gonna absolutely impress the shit out of this headmaster. And the headmaster knows that that's Ging's son, right?
I feel like he probably does, but I don't think he said it. But he knows that there's something peculiar about Gon for sure. And it was a lot of fun to kind of go through that. Because, I mean, it brings me to the idea of, like, all right, where does this guy lie as far as the story goes, and where does he lie on the power scale? And I'm willing to bet that he's not even up there. Like, I'm willing to bet he's, like, really good, but he's probably, like, a single star or something. Was it star or diamond? Yeah, star. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Like them just trying to get the ball, and he said he would pass them on the spot if they could get the ball. And for a second, I thought that they were actually going to be able to pull it off. I thought it was going to be like referring back to what now I know is the what do you call it, the copy of. Yeah, that didn't work out well in my brain. But I compared them to Naruto and Sasuke in my mind. Like, yeah, they're going to get the bell. Or get the ball.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just loved how Chairman Netero, is it Netero? Netero. He looks at both Killua and Gon, and to both of them, in his own mind goes, it's the very shonen. There's something about that boy. But when he says it about Gon, it's happy. And when he says it about Killua, he's like, there's something about that guy I don't like.
Yeah.
He's like, he's concealing a murderous intent. And you're kind of like, is he? And then as soon as he walks away, Killua just fucking ices two dudes in the hallway for no reason.
So Killua is pissed because what happened in the beginning, when you saw that glare that Netero gives to the two boys, it was translated a little bit better in the anime, but he essentially for a moment lets off the intent to kill, if you will. He like stares at them like he's about to fight them, and then when both of them sense that someone is like about to attack them, they both look over there, and he's on the other side of the hallway. And then Killua knows this because he's like a trained assassin, basically.
Right.
And so he's like, "How the hell did you get over there?" So this whole thing is pissing Killua off because this person has been holding back the entire time. Like that, as they said in the fight, he didn't even move two parts of his body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that blew my freaking mind when he's like, I haven't even used my right arm. Or no, Gon's like, I think we almost got it. And Killua was like, dude, no, he hasn't even used his right arm or his left leg yet. And I'm like, wait, he hasn't? And I went back and started like looking through the panels they were doing this. I'm like, oh my God, there's not a drawing of him using those limbs.
He's not even standing on his other foot.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, holy shit. Like, like that gif of the dude from, I think, Tim and Eric show, just like mind blowing out.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I definitely did the same thing. I was like, man, they really didn't even have a single moment where he used those. That's cool.
No. Yeah, not even an accidental drawing of it happening. And then again, yeah, Killua's like, oh man, yeah, okay, so he's upset. He's an assassin, but him and Gon are friends. And he just walks away. And then just ices two dudes in the hallway for no reason.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And when they're counting down numbers, they're like, Hunter exam, 49 entrants remain. And then after that panel, they're like, Hunter exam, 47 entrants remain. I'm like, eek, okay.
Yep.
Ouch. But it's nice to notice that too, because if we start a new panel and it's like entrants remaining 12, I'm gonna be like, holy shit, people died. Like, people are dying off screen, and that's our only way to keep track. So yeah, Killua gets pissed to walk away, but then Gon gets a really nice personal training session from Master Roshi. I mean, Chairman. Again, I don't mean to keep taking away comparisons, but that's how my brain operates. Of just like, I've never read this, so I just compare it to other things.
There's so many similarities to other different manga and anime. Like, it's naturally gonna happen. Like, everything is gonna have a feel of something else. It's tough to have something truly original, but I think with this overall, it does feel original. Like, it is
a lot. No, it absolutely is. There's just a lot of characteristics that are similar.
Yeah, and the whole like Gon trying to headbutt him thing, like,
Yeah, very cool.
that is very Goku.
Yes,
but yeah, that was a ton of fun, and I'm excited to kind of see when he pops back up. Master Roshi, that is.
A less horny Roshi.
Yeah, one smaller thing that he did that I really respected was that after the little training session that they did, he slowed the blimp down so that Gon would have more time to rest.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a nice little detail to add in there that added like a lot of depth to his character without requiring a whole lot of storytelling.
Yes, I completely agree. I loved that. He was like, I had fun. I like this kid. I'm going to slow the blimp down. Like, that was it.
Well, I mean, it's like a sign of respect almost.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it, especially the one hit that Gon actually got in, I love it, was he went to go kick, but he kicked off his shoe, therefore kicking him in the face with his shoe.
Yeah, like got him right in the beard. Yeah.
Like, what the world is this kid doing? Oh man, yeah, it was very nice. And then Tompa actually on the blimp when they first get up there says what we're all thinking as readers, which is, don't relax, don't fall asleep. This is another test.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm sitting there like, okay, so Gon and Killua are messing around with the chairman. What does everyone else have to do? But we never see anybody else doing anything. So
no, not shit.
It wasn't.
That's because they're not the main character.
Well, but I mean, like, you know, you're sitting there thinking like, oh man, if it is a test, like, I wonder what everyone else has gone through while Gon's doing this, or Gon's doing this. But, but they don't. It was literally just rest time. But Tompa freaked everyone out into thinking that it wasn't, because he's the rookie crusher or stupid. I feel like that moment he was just dumb because there's no way that's happened before.
Yeah, I think that they've made it pretty clear. He's just there in some weird sadistic way to just screw people over. which I don't think there's anything hidden with that. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he just gets off on it.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's going to be really ironic when they force him to succeed in the hunter exam and he passes, and then he actually has to be a hunter.
Son of a bitch.
It's like, damn it! It's not what I wanted at all.
I tried to fail. I tried.
I tried so hard. Well, yeah, doesn't he say in the Back to the Tower, he's like, he says, he's like, I always try to avoid the rule of majority because, you know, once I get past this point, then I can no longer just blend in with the crowd. I will start being singled out.
Yeah.
And he said that he's taken the test something like a dozen times, right?
It was 37.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the tower is usually when he just like gives up. He just
Yeah.
like finds a place to hide in the tower for 3 days and then leaves.
Yeah.
But with the rule majority, especially because he's unfortunately in the group with our main character, he is going to get through this tower whether he likes it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Tampa, but the main character needs to progress, and you're stopping that, so hurry up. Oh, jeez. Well,
Yep.
that definitely covers, I mean, not everything, but
Yeah, it was a good bit.
that takes us up to chapter 20. So, does anybody have anything else?
I think I have one observation. I think that the writing of this and the art style too is interesting because we don't usually see like it seems so whimsical, and then the moment you're just like, oh, this is just, you know, they're going through the trials, it's whatever, and then just people straight up die.
Yeah.
It brings you back to like, oh shit, no, these are real stakes. But like, and then you go,
Yeah.
oh no, it's whimsical. Oh shit. It keeps reminding you that these people are actually dying. It's like
Right.
it's like it trying to establish like a almost like a power scaling thing that we always talk about.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah, that's definitely starting to show itself, and I feel like we don't quite see the depth of the power scale. Like, we know what the upper limit is, or supposedly we know what it is. We just haven't seen it. But, like, the seriousness going into it, like, it still manages to stay lighthearted, but get really serious. I mean, to make that comparison back to Naruto, like, you know, the Chunin exams, which is kind of equivalent to this, like, yeah, it was serious, but like people weren't just dying left and right. Like they were getting
Until
fucked
later.
up. Yeah, but I mean that just happens. But like off the go, like this, just doing this test. I mean, the majority of the people haven't failed. The majority of the people have died, and
Which is failure.
well, yeah, but I mean, like, there's not that many people that just dropped out and like just legitimately failed. Like the majority have died. Like,
Yeah.
and it is pretty serious as well as the manga manages to keep it goofy. Like, it does stay pretty serious.
It's that lighthearted terror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very lighthearted terror. All right. Well, do we want to do final thoughts? Nate, do you have any more questions for us? Specific points? If not, then we'll roll into final thoughts.
Honestly, I think you know what? I want one more reaction because I didn't get John's reaction on how did you feel when Tonpa dropped in on the Trick Tower?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so, I mean, that was interesting, to say the least, but I thought it was just real entertaining on that. I'd have to go back specifically and take a look at it again real quick, but I'm just already tired of seeing him. I think that's the biggest thing is like, you know, when's this guy gonna fall off? Like as far as like the relevance scale. Yeah, so it was one of those things that I didn't really pay too much mind to. It's just like, all right, yep, this asshole is here again.
I like it. It's that son of a bit.
Yeah. I thought it was objectively worse than having Hisoka with them because I thought Hisoka was going to drop in, but then I saw Tompa and I'm like, this is objectively worse.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be that annoyance for a little while at least.
But again, he's in a group with our main character who needs to progress, so
Yeah.
suck it up.
Yeah.
They got that plot armor.
Got that plot armor now. Now, there's no saying they won't, ditch him at some point and figure out a way to take his bracelet and vote on his behalf, but doubt it.
These like subtle spoilers that we got going on with Nate, I love them.
They're fun.
Just him
They're not
laughing.
even spoilers. He's just chuckling because we're funny.
I know when Nate's laughing, and it's not a spoiler. Don't worry.
Yeah, Duncan picked
See,
up
that
on
is
my
a spoiler.
different laugh.
You saying that it's not a spoiler is like exactly a spoiler, Duncan.
That's exactly
Is
what
it,
a spoiler
though?
is.
Yeah,
Shut
because
up. I'm
as
still,
we've covered,
you just reminded me how angry I am at you.
because you're the asshole that went too far. You're not supposed to know the things that you know, Duncan.
All I'm saying is that
You have forbidden
that
knowledge.
action that you think is going to happen doesn't occur, but that just leaves a
You're
million
making
other
it worse.
possible actions.
Okay, we're done here, Duncan.
Well, we still have final thoughts.
No, he's done. You're
Okay.
fired.
Oh, jeez.
Alrighty then, I'll see you guys later.
You're not in charge. So, yeah, we'll do final thoughts real quick. Who would like to start us off?
I'll start it off. So
I can't wait to read the next 20 chapters.
Shut up,
I see. You fucking cheater, you.
Go ahead.
No, like at the risk of sounding overly positive, like I'm extremely excited to continue to go on with this. I mean, the first 20 chapters, like really, as far as lore goes, like it covered a lot of story, and in good fashion, like it established more questions than it established answers. Yeah, there's way more questions that I have going into this, and being the anime manga fan that I am, I'm primarily concerned with finding Ging's background and understanding the power scaling in this in this manga, because power scaling is always fun. But I'm excited for it, and I mean, it's a serious endeavor. Like, it's a serious manga, but it's also extremely goofy, and I absolutely love Gon.
Yeah, he's fun. I won't give my final thoughts right now, but I will say I guarantee the star rankings are going to come into play after the trial. Like, they're going to start mattering more and more and more.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
All right. If anyone else wants to go next, I'll go next.
I had something. I think that it's especially interesting that being a hunter doesn't necessarily mean that you're like a killer or you're out fighting people all day long. It's like, yeah, there's a baseline. You have to be tough. You have to know how to fight. But there's people that are like archaeologists or cooks, or they're just off living their best lives because they have the funds to do so. And I think that's pretty cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, great manga so far. I've really been enjoying it, and I really do want to keep reading it for a while. It's really got me hooked.
That's good to hear.
Yeah,
absolutely. I would agree there, and I seriously had to contemplate if I was going to put it down after chapter 20. I did, because I'm disciplined, but I was very much like, oh, there's no way that this can end like this right now. But it was great. I've had a lot of fun with it, and having never watched or read this show before is very, like, it's refreshing, because that was kind of my whole point of wanting to do this show with you guys, was just like, there's manga, like, there's stuff out there I haven't read and probably wouldn't read unless I had someone like holding me accountable to read it. So this was probably the perfect example of the point of this show for me, was to read something that I never would have read otherwise. I've been told to read HunterXHunter before. I've been told to watch it before, and I never have. I always been like, I'll put it on the list. But I'm one of those people that after like the third telling, I'm like, I don't want to.
yeah.
Now I just don't want to, and I don't know why. It's a character flaw. I have no idea. But I had so much fun with this one, and I can't wait to read more of it a little later on down the line, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one that we should come back to regularly.
Agreed.
It's really fun.
At least once a month, I think.
Yeah, this could be one of our mainstay mangas because it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I've enjoyed it a lot so far, and I'm excited to do it again.
Yeah, Nate, thank you so much for the recommendation this week.
Yeah,
Agreed.
no problem. I remember finding this and I was like, why haven't I seen this or read this before? It's so much fun.
Yeah, especially as you're a Yu Yu Hakusho fan too, right?
I
Or-
haven't watched it or read it.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was confusing you with someone else, but that's a really. I mean, I like Yu Yu Hakusho, so but I haven't gotten into it. I just remember watching it on Toonami before Dragon Ball came on.
Yeah.
But I remember enjoying a little bit of it. But either way, Nate, this is a great recommendation. Did you have final thoughts you wanted to put in there? I know you know some of what's happening, but as a first-time reader, long-time watcher.
I have another fun fact to contemplate. His wife is actually the artist and writer of Sailor Moon.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
That's cool.
That is so cool. Yeah,
Power
that's
couple.
awesome. Power couple, man. Like three of the most, and whatever else I'm sure she's done, but at least three of the most instantly recognizable manga anime out there. Like
Yeah, imagine
Yu Yu
having
Hakusho,
like
Sailor Moon.
merch on both sides being sold. That's
Oh
crazy.
my god. Yeah. Like at first you could make the argument of like, nobody really knows what Yu Yu Hakusho is anymore. That was a very 90s anime. But everyone will always know Sailor Moon, and now everyone is always going to know about Hunter x Hunter. Just because it's a more modern anime.
Mhm.
That's it. But Sailor Moon is forever going to be a thing because there's a lot of dudes who like to dress up like Sailor Moon.
Oh,
There's a lot of women that like to dress up like Gon, so here we are in 2023 crying.
That sounds like a trap.
Well,
People be happy.
they can be happy all they want. I don't really care.
We just end the episode on click.
Well, no, that's not how we'll end it. We'll end it by saying thank you, everyone, so much for listening this week to that one time we read manga. Next week, we're going back to One Piece next week for chapters 22 through 41. And we'll talk off air a little bit about how we want to tackle Hunter x Hunter going forward, because we have a lot of manga to get through, and just sticking to only a couple will take way too long. So we have to figure out our rotations, but we'll talk about it again. I think we all enjoyed enough where we're going to come back.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, all right, everyone. Thank you again so much for listening to that one time we read manga. Enjoy the rest of your day. Get out there and read something.
Bye. Read it.
Bye.
Bye.